When was the last time you were bored? Truly, deeply bored. And didn't immediately reach for your phone? I mean, the kind of boredom where you just sit and think and let your mind go somewhere without being steered. If you're struggling to remember, you're not alone. And according to Byung-Chul Han, a Korean-German philosopher who is probably one of the most important thinkers of our time, that inability to be bored is not a personality quirk. It is a symptom of something much deeper. This is a review of his book, The Burnout Society. It's 96 pages long. It was published in 2015. And I think every Muslim who takes their intellectual and spiritual life seriously needs to read it. Han opens with a striking observation. In previous eras, the diseases that defined a society were immunological, the plague, tuberculosis, infections. The enemy came from outside, and the body fought back. Today's defining illnesses are different. Depression, ADHD, anxiety, burnout. These don't come from an external threat. They come from within. The enemy is us. Why? Han's answer is sharp. We have moved from what he calls a disciplinary society to an achievement society. In the old disciplinary society, power said, "You shall not." It operated through negation, restriction, rules. Think of the factory, the prison, the religious institution as a rigid authority. The subject obeyed or was punished. In today's achievement society, power says something far more seductive. Yes, you can. It flatters you. It tells you there are no limits, that you are the entrepreneur of your own life, that your only constraint is how much you want it. And here is the trap. When there are no external limits, no you shall not, the self turns inward and begins to exploit itself. We are no longer oppressed by a boss or a system. We are oppressed by our own ambition, our own metrics, our own obsessive self-optimization. Han's phrase for this is devastating. Achievement society is the society of self-exploitation. The achievement subject does not need a master. It has become its own master and its own slave. Now let me walk through the 3 ideas in this book that I found most powerful. 1, the violence of positivity. We tend to think of violence as something that takes away, restricts, suppresses. Han introduces a different kind, the violence of too much. Too much positivity. Too many options. Too much stimulation. This kind of violence doesn't deprive you. It saturates you. It doesn't exclude, it exhausts. Depression, he says, is not the disease of someone who has too little. It is the disease of someone who is overwhelmed by too much, too many possibilities, too much performance pressure, too much connectivity, and collapses under the weight of it all. 2, the death of deep attention. Han makes a distinction between two kinds of attention. There is hyperattention, the frantic, scattered mode of switching between tasks, notifications, and stimuli. This is what the digital age trains us for. And then there is deep attention, the kind of sustained, contemplative focus that produces great art, great thought, great wisdom. He compares hyperattention to the state of an animal eating at a watering hole, always alert, always scanning for predators, never fully present. That, Han says, is what we have become. We have traded the depth of the human for the vigilance of the animal. And here is the cultural consequence he draws. Civilization itself, its greatest achievements in art, philosophy, literature, music required deep attention. Not multitasking, not productivity hacks. Sustained, unhurried contemplation. 3, the redemption of boredom. This is perhaps Han's most countercultural idea. He argues that boredom is not a problem to be solved. It is a necessary human condition, one that gives the mind the space to wander, to make unexpected connections, to find meaning. Without boredom, there is no depth. We have declared war on empty time. Every gap must be filled with a podcast, a scroll, a notification. And in filling every gap, we are slowly killing the part of ourselves that is capable of genuine thought. Now, and this is why I wanted to review this book on this channel. Han is a secular philosopher. He draws from Nietzsche, Heidegger, Foucault. He is not writing from within an Islamic framework. But what he is describing maps with extraordinary precision onto what Muslim scholars were warning about over 1,000 years ago. Imam Ghazali, in the Ihya, writes at length about what he calls ghaflah, heedlessness. The state of the heart that is so occupied with the world, with its transactions and ambitions, that it becomes veiled from God. Ghazali is not talking about laziness. He is talking about a kind of spiritual busyness, always doing, never being, that produces a soul that is active on the outside and empty on the inside. Han would recognize this immediately. What Ghazali calls ghaflah, Han calls burnout. The mechanisms are different in their language, but they are pointing at the same wound. Think about what Salah is structurally. It is a mandatory pause 5 times a day inserted into your achievement schedule. You cannot optimize it. You cannot multitask during it. It demands your presence. Your body, your tongue, your attention, all brought to one point. It is, in Han's language, the ultimate practice of deep attention. Or think about the Quranic injunction to tafakkur, contemplation, reflection on the signs of God. The Quran does not ask you to be productive. It asks you to think deeply, to slow down enough to see. My argument is this. Han diagnoses the disease with extraordinary clarity. But the cure he gestures at, slow down, contemplate, reclaim boredom, remains vague in his secular framework. It has no anchor, no practice, no community. The Islamic tradition doesn't just diagnose, it prescribes. And perhaps the most radical thing a Muslim can do in an achievement society is to actually take their deen seriously, not as a cultural identity, but as a complete counter-program to the logic of self-exploitation. Now, to be fair to the book and to you as a reader, Han's work has real weaknesses. His diagnosis is far stronger than his prescription. He tells you that burnout is a structural problem, a feature of neoliberal achievement society, not a personal failure. That is valuable and liberating. But when it comes to what to do about it, he offers gestures toward contemplation and boredom without a concrete path. The book is also dense, often repetitive, and not always well structured. It reads more like a philosophical pamphlet than a fully argued work. If you come to it expecting a self-help book, you will be frustrated. It is not that kind of text. What it is, and this is why it is worth your time, is a precise philosophical vocabulary for something you already feel but may not have been able to name. That is the real gift of this book. If you take one thing from this review, let it be this. Burnout is not because you are weak. It is because you are living inside a system that is designed to extract everything from you and return nothing. Han gives you the map. The Islamic tradition gives you the compass. I'll leave you with a line from Ghazali that I keep coming back to. The heart is like a mirror. If it is constantly in motion, it cannot reflect anything clearly. That is the Burnout Society. And that is what we are here to think about together.